Hey fellas, everyone, hope you're all doing well today. It's Tuesday morning. Not sure when I'll actually put this video together. I'll probably just do a mashup throughout the week of clips and whatnot, lawn care related talk. And I really wanted to mention something I think is important for me, because for me, guys, when it comes to this YouTube thing and doing YouTube, I've been trying to figure out my why, so to speak, in doing YouTube overall. And I'm really passionate about helping people, or at least trying to. I want to give good advice. What I feel like is good advice. Ultimately, it's my opinion based on what I know and what I've experienced. But I do feel like I do give good advice when it comes to lawn care related stuff, right? So I've been doing this a long time, and I really know what I'm doing. Really good at it, successful at it, and I'm gonna continue to grow. Got a lot going on, y'all. Exciting. We'll have to get into those things later, but yeah, I'm really passionate about helping, especially people starting out that don't know any better, that could use someone like myself that's been through it and knows what he's talking about. Because here's the deal, guys, you got to be careful on YouTube, taking advice or people's opinions, like I said before, because that's really what it is, more or less opinions. Because a lot of these guys, or some of them, and one in particular that just started a YouTube channel a few months ago and started a lawn care business a few months ago, is frankly giving pretty bad advice, if you ask me, or opinions, as I said before. You got to be careful. You got to be careful who you listen to. This individual that I'm referring to, and I'm not going to give his name because frankly I really don't like him based on his YouTube persona. Maybe he's an okay guy in real life, but based on how he comes across on his YouTube page, he doesn't seem that way, to be honest with you. So I'm really not a fan of him. Very arrogant, very cocky, thinks he knows it all. He's not willing to take advice from people that know stuff. By myself, I've never commented on his channel and don't plan to be honest with you. That's just how I feel about him. But either way, you got to be careful about who you listen to. Now, if you want to listen to somebody like him, like I'm referring to, from an entertainment perspective, I understand that, just seeing how things go for his business. But if you want to take advice from him, you got to be careful, because not necessarily everything he says is bad advice, but a lot of the things that he is saying doesn't make any sense, and you just got to be wary of it. And let me tell you this: the one thing that really stuck out to me that he said in the video, I think it was last week, he said lawn care is easy. And I heard that, and I was like, man, I gotta say something, because he's been saying been having some really dumb takes on some of his videos I've noticed over the last week or so. And let me say this to you young guys. So here's the deal. It may be easy when you do have, in his case, he's got a good mower and he's got a decent little setup, no doubt about it, for someone starting out. But most of you guys starting out aren't going to have that. And you got to consider the fact that 16 yards with decent equipment and know-how a week, 16 yards a week, yeah, that's easy. What's hard is when you get up, obviously I've been doing this a long time, so I should have a significant amount of volume, but just give you an example, 2 weeks ago we did 127 yards that we mowed, or 122. We also done some, been doing bush jobs on the weekly. We did a big one yesterday, a $400 bush job yesterday. That turned out well. I hadn't been trimmed in a couple years, so they were overgrown, but we got it knocked out. So we're doing a volume of mowing, 100 plus yards a week. We did, I think, 110 last week. Probably do around 120 this week. Doing bush jobs. Last week I did a significant amount of fertilization and spraying. Did a couple spray jobs yesterday, by the way. Got 27 yards we're going to mow today, by the way. So yeah, it's easy to say lawn care is easy when you're only doing 16 yards a week. But once you get into volume, a significant amount of volume, say when you're doing 16 a day, I don't think you'll be saying that, right? So yeah, y'all, be careful. If you ever hear a YouTuber say the lawn care is easy, I'd automatically be skeptical of anything that individual has to say from that point forward. And that's just my opinion of this particular individual, especially if he's new. You know, if he's only been in business for a few months, he's not going to know near as much as someone like myself would know, or Ray, or Irvin over there at Irvin Lawn Care, or, you know, you name them. You know, there's some good quality YouTubers out there that have been doing it a long time that give good advice. Not every piece of advice or opinion that we give may be good, and it really depends on where you're at, right? I mean, if you're from the north, you probably want to listen to somebody that's from your area, right? If you're from the south, I feel like that'd be a good source to listen to, take advice from, and we can all learn together, you know, because y'all teach me things in the comments. Appreciate every one of you coming in the comments. But yeah, guys, I mean, that's just what I wanted to tell you guys that are young. Again, I'm passionate about helping people out, whether you've been in this game for a long time. We can all learn. I'm still learning. We're all learning together. But especially you people that, young or old, that are starting out or thinking about it, you need to be listening to people that really know stuff, okay? So be careful who you listen to and take advice from, okay? And be skeptical, especially from people that are fairly new in this game, taking advice from them especially, because they don't know a whole lot. They just don't, based on experience. You know, I've always been taught, and I'll let you go here in a second, try not to let this clip get too long, but I've always been told and taught that you want to listen to your elders, so to speak. I know we've all heard that saying. Now, not everybody, you don't necessarily want to listen to everybody that's your elder, but I mean, you can discern who to listen to, who not listen to, right? But most people with experience, especially if it's something that you're doing in the field that you're doing, if they're of sound mind and a decent individual, those are people that you want to listen to. And that's something that I try to do. I try to teach my sons that, because experience matters. It really does. It matters a lot, and you can learn a lot from people with experience, whatever field it's in or whatever it may be, right? Life in general, you can learn a lot from older people. So I think if you're wise, and apparently this individual that I'm referring to, we all know who he is. Ray did a video of him the other day. A wise man will listen to people with experience, your elders, you know, people with life experience, older people, because they know stuff. They've been through it. They've been through life, and they can help you as you navigate life, right? Or navigate your journey. In this case, if you decide to own a lawn care business for the future of your business. So yeah, I think it's very wise to listen to people that have that experience, that know what they're talking about, and to listen to them, because they can help you ultimately. So yeah, y'all, I want to leave you that. I hope you're doing well. I'll get some footage. By the way, the new guy made his debut yesterday, did a great job. We'll talk more about him later. I've already started training him to drive a truck, take over Justin's position once Justin leaves, all that. Hope you're all doing well, y'all. God bless you. Talk soon. Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. So it's Wednesday morning. gonna have 2 trucks on the road today. Got a busy day. We ended up having a little bit of rain yesterday at 3 o'clock, but still had a really, really good day. So Justin and Kobe being in the truck together. We're gonna continue to have not only me, but Justin train Kobe on the yards and the areas. And I've already been, kind of explaining things, how I'll do things in terms of a route and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it's important, especially early on when a guy starts driving the truck, you want to keep it pretty simple. Keep the yards in a localized area that you'll have him do until he gets more familiar with the area. So that's basically how I'm explaining to him how I go about doing things. So yeah, I told Justin to make sure he's doing the same thing as I was doing the last 2 days. So yeah, yesterday we were in one truck, like I mentioned before. And I'm gonna mention some more things in terms of the guy I was talking about. Some of the bad points he was making, or suggestions, more or less, he was making when it comes to lawn care business. But anyway, yeah, yesterday, just to give you an idea, so we worked basically from 7 to 3, took a 30-minute lunch break before the storms rolled in. Yeah, it started storming right after 3. So we still ended up having a pretty full day. I mean, I would like to have worked a little longer, but we ended up doing, I think it's 27 yards that we mowed. We did a $100 bush job, and I fertilized 2 yards. So I ended up having a really good day. So yeah, made some good money and all of that. But yeah, the density really came into play yesterday. It's obviously very important. I'm going to continue to mention that fact when it comes to lawn maintenance. Your density is just critical if you're going to make really good money out here. So yeah, we really took advantage of that yesterday. Proud of the guys. Yeah, Kobe's everything I thought he'd be. I mean, he really, really good at doing the work. Really thorough. Probably a little more thorough than JR, for example. He don't miss stuff like JR would miss on occasion. So that's good. But he's still getting familiar with the properties, all that kind of stuff. I'm comfortable with him using a mower on some of the easier properties, but I'd prefer to have guys, walk it out and weed eat and just blow in the beginning until they get familiar with the yard itself before I let them get on a mower, just so they can kind of see the lay of the land, so to speak. That's just kind of how I believe and how I do things when it comes to new guys, even if they have a lot of experience. I think it's important for them to get a lay of the land, so to speak, and kind of walk it out. But anyway, yeah, JR is supposed to, I thought he was going to work today, but I haven't heard from him. He texted me Monday around lunch, asking me how things were going with the new guy or whatever, and I told him obviously going good, and told him to plan on working at least today and tomorrow and maybe Friday. But yeah, I tried to text him yesterday, I heard from him, so it looks like it's going to be me today in this truck. But yeah, I've got some mowing, quite a few yards I'm going to mow. I got some yards I'm going to spray, and a few I'm going to fertilize as well. So yeah, I'm just hoping the rain will hold off. It looks like they're giving a chance of scattered storms, this afternoon around lunch, but you just never know. Never know what the weather's going to do this time of year. It's just, it's to be expected. It's as warm and muggy as it is now, unfortunately. So yeah, hopefully the rain will hold off and we can have a really good day. I got a really good list for the guys to do. Yeah, y'all, just thought I'd give you an idea. Some things going on. I'll get some footage that I'll post, obviously, before this one and some after, and then we'll make mention of the comment. Yeah, the new guy made that I thought was really bad advice, especially for beginners in lawn care. And I'll add some other things I noticed, and we'll chat about it. But anyway, hope you're all doing well, y'all. God bless. Talk soon. Hey fellas, hope you're doing well. Y'all saw me just get that footage there in the backyard. Again, this is a new yard. I actually picked up this customer when I was mowing this yard, the neighbor right over here, this past Friday. He came home and approached me when he's getting the mail, his mailbox, and asked me if I would want to give him a price. So I told him this is a yard, it's pretty spread out. Got the big natural area. Obviously I go through here and pick up the sticks and all that kind of thing. But these yards are typically the kind of yard that I'm not really familiar with. I don't do a lot of these style yards. Looks like a yard my man Ray would do in Sonoma, but yeah, pretty spread out. Honestly, it took me longer to weed eat. Overall, it took me, I think, 50 minutes to mow, weed eat, and blow. Pick up some sticks that are in the natural area here. So what I told him, and this is a strategy that I typically do, when it comes to a yard, I'm not really sure what I'm going to charge. I told him it'd be at least $100. And that I would know for sure once I did the yard myself. And I'm glad I'm able to mow it on this occasion by myself, because that gives me a better idea of what I want to charge. So yeah, after I did the yard, based on the time it took, I'm going to charge $125. And I'm sure he'll be fine with it. We'll see. I told him to be at least $100. So I'm going to tell him $125. It took me a little over 50 minutes, between 50 minutes and an hour. And obviously I had to set the camera up, so that took some time, but pretty easy yard. Like I said, it's kind of spread out, but either way, that's typically what I do. I'm curious if you guys do similar when it comes to pricing, you know, a yard that maybe you're not familiar with. Some people talk about, you know, measuring the square foot and all that kind of stuff. So, hey, listen, yeah, y'all let me know on that in terms of the pricing, if y'all do similar, if you're not really sure what you want to charge. So, this guy seems like a really nice guy, and I got a cool story too, guys. So, I've told y'all the stories about how God has my back, right? You know, talking about the push mower that was essentially given to me the other day when I needed a push mower but really didn't want to buy a new one. Colby calling me a few days after the fact when I was having issues with the guys, you know, a few weeks ago. Just total blessings, you know, God's got my back. So let me tell you another one. So I told y'all last week that I'm going to go ahead and focus on my own building, my own shop. I'm not really worried about Hytham, this big building for him and his business, just because it's going to cost a lot of money and all that kind of thing. I've basically decided that if he wants to build that building, I'll just lease him the land. I'm not going to sell the land. I'll lease it to him, but he's going to be responsible for getting an investor and coming up with the money to do it. I'm not going to worry about it. I just feel like makes more sense for me to just focus on my shop and all the opportunities I'll have to grow and make more money in my shop being there. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to focus my money on. So yeah, he gave me, Chris is his name, nice guy. So yeah, when we were talking, he gave me his card and wanted to have his number. So he does metal buildings. He builds metal buildings. He don't do the concrete and all that, I don't think, but obviously he works with general contractors in the area. And honestly, guys, I've been kind of frustrated with Jason, the general contractor for the company that I've mentioned before, Tovlin. When I told him my plans last week, when I sent him a text, I wanted to focus on just building a building for me. I really wasn't worried about this other guy in his building. You know, he just liked the text. He didn't call me, hadn't sent me any kind of information, any kind of numbers or anything, you know. So I'm really not sure, obviously, if he's busy. So I was really frustrated with him too, but sure enough, a couple days later, I meet Chris. And he gave me the names and numbers of a couple contractors that I already know of, and one in particular that he feels like would be better. So yeah, and he wants to be an investor, y'all. Like they literally just got done building some buildings not too far from where I'm at now in Auburn. Similar kind of buildings that I want to build along that roadside. And he's a very interested investor. Like, he's pumped up about it, like excited. Like, he told me, I didn't ask him when I told him the plan that I have for the land, the fact I'm looking to build a shop. Like, he's like, yeah, I want to look at it. You know, I'm interested in being an investor. So yeah, he wants to meet me out there. He's out of town today, I think this week, but maybe this weekend we can meet out there at the land, and I'm going to give him the option to develop that road frontage. And I'm not going to sell the land, like I said before. I just want a percentage of the money coming in from whatever structures that he builds. So yeah, telling y'all, it's exciting, guys. Like I said, he's got my back, and whenever, you know, I'm frustrated or feel like, you know, I need something, he comes through for me. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But I mean, I was like, look, I'm always needing validations. I was like, you think what I'm doing is a good idea? He said, oh yeah, man. And he says, obviously I do this for a living, really good money in these service structure, shop building, you know, structures, that kind of thing. So yeah, really excited about that. We'll see what comes of it. And I'll let you know in the future what I hear. But let me know on the pricing, if it's a yard you're not very familiar with, how you go about it. If you feel like that's a good idea. Again, I'm gonna charge $125 for this. Took me less than an hour by myself, so with the guy helping me, we'll knock it out in 20-30 minutes, I feel like. So anyway, y'all let me know what you think. Talk soon. Hey fellas, give you a quick update real quick. So yeah, y'all saw me get the footage there. That particular yard, that last clip where I was blowing the leaves into the pond. After I blow, I go through the natural area and pick up bigger sticks. Now I don't get the small sticks, just some of the bigger ones. It started raining, by the way, dadgummit. But yeah, you always gotta be watching out, like I said before in the video, watching out for those yellow jacket nests and copperheads. We killed a copperhead a couple weeks ago. So very wary of that, especially walking into these natural areas. That's something we do. That was a 110, by the way, and I'll let y'all know, I normally wouldn't have done that yard. Like I said, it just started becoming a little bit of a shower. I don't think it's gonna last very long, but yeah, they're increasing the chances of rain throughout the day. So you constantly, I know Ray talks about it, you constantly gotta be plotting and planning based on all the circumstances out here. And that's why lawn care, old buddy says it's easy. That's what makes lawn care difficult. Dealing with the weather specifically. So I'm already plotting and planning not only for today, given the weather, but for the rest of the week. That's why I went ahead and did a 125, that new yard I mentioned before, and the 110 just now, that typically I wouldn't do with it being just me. I prefer to do those bigger yards that have a little bit more weed eating cleanup with a helper. But I went ahead and did that given the forecast, not only for today, but it looks like it may rain tomorrow. So always plotting and planning and thinking, and I'm really, really good at it. Actually, I'm a straight up, like Ray says, a straight G at it. When it comes to really planning ahead and planning for the different circumstances. So, yeah, I want to mention something this guy said in one of his videos. Now, maybe he's realized he was wrong on this, and he went on to say while he was talking about it that he don't need the money. So, yeah, I understand that. But he said when you start out, and keep in mind a lot of you guys starting out are going to need the money, right? He says he don't need the money. So yeah, I kind of understand where he's coming from a little bit. But he's telling people starting out that you need to be selective. Now again, if you don't need the money, maybe, but most of you are going to need the money, right? And I would think common sense would tell you guys, and I'm sure a lot of you guys that follow me have been doing this a long time would agree, you're going to need the money. The majority of people starting out in this game are going to need the money. So he's telling people you need to be selective. That's just flat out wrong. Okay, flat out wrong. I'll tell it to your face too, buddy, if you happen to be watching. Yeah, won't lose any sleep. You wouldn't do nothing about it, by the way, tough guy. But yeah, if you're starting out, guys, you can't be selective in terms of the customers you pick up. Okay. For one thing, you're not going to be stealing customers away from somebody like me that's been doing this, that has a rapport with my customers. You're not going to be stealing those customers away, those good customers away from someone like me or someone that's been doing it a while in your area that has a good reputation, does good work. So you got to consider that. And hey, crappy yards, crappy customers assume they're going to pay, even though they might pay you as much as you want. They still pay. Most of them will still pay. You may get gypped every now and then. Don't get me wrong. That's happened to me in the past. Very rare, but it has happened with some of those poor, crappy customers. But they still will pay. And those jobs that they offer up are still good jobs, paying jobs for the most part. It may not be as good, as profitable as some of the better ones that you'll get later on in your business as you grow your business and establish that customer base, but they still will pay. So the idea of someone telling you to be selective when you need money, which I'm going to assume you do, and you're starting out trying to build that customer base, is just really, really bad advice. It's a bad take. It's a bad opinion. Totally disagree, and I'm sure most of you will agree with what I'm saying. Hopefully I'm explaining myself good. I feel like I am. But yeah, y'all, you just got to be careful who you listen to, and maybe he realized he was wrong on that. I doubt it. But yeah, I'm curious what y'all think. Should you be selective early on? One thing I'm going to point out is, I mention it in my videos a lot of times, is I'm being pretty selective in the new customers I pick up. And a lot of you guys that are established will say the same thing. So as you establish that customer base, you can, as a lot of you talk about, you can dissolve the bottom to build up the top. Keep your good customers, let your less profitable, crappy customers go. And that's something that you're going to have to do, or you can do, as you move forward in the future with your business, guys. So yeah, I just want to point that out. Definitely don't be afraid to take on, crappy yards or, poor customers in a lot of cases. They still will pay, maybe not as much as your good customers. But yeah, you got to just realize that in the beginning, you're going to have to take on customers that someone like me or someone established isn't going to want to take on. So yeah, y'all let me know what you think on that. I feel like I'm right. Again, it's my opinion based on my experience. Y'all let me know if you feel like I'm right or not. I think common sense tells you that I definitely am, and I'm sure a lot of you agree. Either way, just thought I'd point that out, y'all. Be careful who you listen to. The opinions that you take on as advice, and as far as implementing into your business. Hope you're doing well. God bless. Hey everyone, hope you're doing well, man. So it's a little after 5 now. I came behind the fence, used the bathrooms. I figured I'd just do a little clip to end the video. I've been doing a little bit of a mashup throughout the week of clips and getting some footage mixed in, that kind of thing. I'm mainly talking, so I'm hoping this clip isn't too long because I don't want the overall video to be too long. But anyway, yeah, I'll try to make it short and sweet if I can. So yeah, we just finished up, like I said before. Been having to overcome the rain. I know a lot of you have been dealing with the rain as such as I have. I think we all have, right? Especially from the eastern part of the country. But yeah, yesterday it was a little worse dealing with the rain. It rained basically from lunch, sporadically through the afternoon. We still managed to do, I think, 28 yards. And Colby and Justin did 2 bush jobs as well. So yeah, that was good. And I think today we're going to end up over 30. I'm not really sure exactly how many yards. I actually had my oldest son, and his friend helped me to about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and then I dropped them off and knocked out 3 by myself, kind of close to my house here. So yeah, we've done at least 30 today that we mowed. I didn't get to do any spraying today just because it was a little too wet, and I don't like to spray when it's wet. But either way, yeah, you listen, that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to overcome. Just like a few guys, I want to mention a few guys I have a lot of respect for, guys. Do videos or did videos. Shane over Doc over there at DLT did videos. Obviously Ray, I got a lot of respect for Ray. A little rough around the edges, no doubt about it, but I'm proud of him for getting better, when it comes to language and all that kind of stuff. He's definitely gotten a lot better over the last year or so. So yeah, proud of him for doing that. That video he did the other day, talking about our buddy, definitely probably would not have made it on YouTube if it had been done a year or so ago or longer ago. That's for sure. So could have done without some of the language, no doubt about it, but a lot of things he said was definitely spot on and true for sure. Definitely share the opinion that he had on that whole video that he did there. But either way, y'all, hey, listen, got a lot of respect for Shane, Ray, my man Ben H. He's thinking about doing videos, by the way. I'm going to encourage him to do some because he's very knowledgeable, really smart. But all 3 of those guys, y'all, and again, this goes back to the kind of the point of my video with it not being easy. Lawn care is not easy, especially if you have to overcome the odds, so to speak. Maybe you made some poor decisions like I believe Shane has and Ray has too. I think he talked about on some videos in the past. Or maybe you didn't have that good fatherly influence. Fortunately for me, I did, but a lot of people grow up without good fatherly influences. That's what I'm trying to be to my sons, especially my daughter too. But yeah, we can all overcome, y'all, and those guys have overcome some obstacles. I know Ben was a veteran. He suffered an injury in Afghanistan, I believe, Ben, if I'm correct. And he's been dealing with that injury ever since, but he's still getting out, doing landscaping jobs and mowing a lot of yards, throughout the weeks, to support his family. So yeah, it's just what you're going to have to do, y'all. I mean, if you're in a similar situation, maybe you're down to your luck. You didn't have that good fatherly influence like I did. That's definitely been very beneficial to me, teaching me a lot when it comes to work ethic, saving my money, all those different things that a good father can provide. Maybe you didn't have that. Maybe you made, a poor decision in your early adult life that set you back, but doesn't mean that you can't overcome those things, just like Shane has. I think he made a few mistakes earlier on and got started kind of late in lawn care, I believe in his late 30s. I believe Ray's the same way. I think Ray made some mistakes too. But both of those guys, through dedication, hard work, be willing, to get out day in, day out and work hard and, fight, through, nagging injuries, not feeling good, maybe, upset your stomach, that kind of thing. We all deal with it. But you got to be willing to get up day in, day out and go to work. And that's what those guys do. And I'm sure a lot of you other guys can say the same thing. So yeah, never feel like that you're down and out. Okay, and lawn care it's not easy, but it's definitely a good industry to be a part of if you're willing to do the work, that kind of thing. So yeah, mad props to those 3 men for overcoming the odds and, coming up, rising up through the ashes, so to speak, from the ashes, to make something of themselves through hard work. That's what you're going to have to be willing to do, guys, if you're going to make it out, make it in this industry and be successful and make a good living at it. So never think for once that it's going to be easy either. I'm just telling you, it's not. Maybe you're a gifted businessman, you're able to find some good help, some good employees, and I mean, if that's the case, I could see it maybe being a little easier, but it's not typical for lawn care in this field, you're going to have a hard time generally finding good help. And once you do, you need to make sure you hang on to those guys and pay them well and all that kind of stuff and build a culture like people talk about. But either way, y'all, hey, listen, appreciate y'all viewing. Like I said, I don't want to make this too long. A mad shout out to all of you G's out there that get up day in, day out, put your boots on, put your shoes on, and get to work, to make a living, support your family, support yourself, and especially for you guys that have you had some struggles in the past and you've been able to overcome. So, yeah, got a lot of respect for you guys especially. But either way, y'all, hey, listen, hope you're having a great week. God bless you. I got a interesting video I'll do over the weekend talking about a piece of equipment I may be purchasing here pretty soon, possibly. I'm going to need your opinion on it. So look forward to that video coming up this weekend. I'm really going to need your comments and your thoughts when it comes to that particular piece of equipment. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you. Talk soon.